If you log into your retirement account today and see exactly $100,000, you probably feel like you have finally made it. You see headlines claiming the average retirement balance is soaring, and you think you are doing great. But Wall Street is lying to you using a mathematical optical illusion. The financial media loves to brag that the average 401k balance is around $144,000. That makes your 100 grand feel pretty comfortable. But there is a massive, brutal difference between the mean and the median. That sounds complicated, but simply put, it means if you put 9 flat broke people in a room with Elon Musk, the average net worth in that room is $25 billion. But the actual, everyday reality for almost everyone in that room is exactly zero. That is what's happening to your retirement benchmarks. A handful of multimillionaires are inflating the averages, while over half of American households have $0 saved. So what does your $100,000 actually mean in the real world? Let's do the hard math. It equals roughly 2 years of basic, modest living. 2 years. You are not rich, you are not retired, you just bought yourself 24 months of groceries and utility bills. Hitting 6 figures is exactly where most people quietly fall behind, because they completely misunderstand the mechanics of what comes next. In the finance space, professionals rely on a benchmark called the 4% rule. That sounds complicated, but simply put, it means you can safely withdraw exactly 4% of your total investments every year in retirement without running out of money, even when the market inevitably dips. So apply that rule to your hard-earned $100,000. 4% of $100,000 is exactly $4,000 a year. Let me repeat that. $4,000 for the entire year. Divide that by 12 months, and you are living on $333 a month. Could you survive on $333 a month today? That barely covers a cell phone bill and a couple of trips to the grocery store. It certainly does not pay a mortgage or keep a car on the road. This is the ultimate reality check. $100,000 is not wealth. It is merely the down payment on your wealth. If you want a perfectly mundane income of $40,000 a year generated from your investments alone, you need $1 million, period. The millionaire next door is not some ultra-rich elite flying private. Today, $1 million is simply the absolute baseline required to buy milk and pay the heating bill without having a panic attack. Once you cross that 6-figure mark, your behavior has to fundamentally change. You are no longer just scraping pennies together, you are now managing a 6-figure portfolio. And the biggest threat to that portfolio is the quiet, boring math hidden right inside your account. Let's talk about expense ratios. Wall Street aggressively shoves mutual funds and target date funds down your throat. You might look at your 401k and see an annual expense ratio of 1%. 1% sounds like absolute pocket change, right? Like a rounding error. It is not. That sounds complicated, but simply put, it means you are being robbed in slow motion. Imagine you own a successful bakery, and every single day a guy in a suit walks in, smiles, and takes exactly 1% of the cash out of your register. Over 30 years, he isn't just taking today's money, he is stealing the money that your money would have made. Over your investing career, that tiny, innocent-looking 1% fee will cannibalize 20 to 30% of your total potential wealth. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Vanished. Handed over to a fund manager who probably performed worse than a basic S&P 500 index fund anyway. Switching to low-cost index funds is the very first behavioral shift you must make once you hit 6 figures. The second shift is mastering your tax efficiency. The tax code is a game, and once you have $100,000, you have enough chips on the table that you need to know how to play it. As of 2026, you can shovel up to $24,500 into a 401k and $7,500 into an IRA. But where you put it matters just as much. You have to understand the difference between a traditional account and a Roth account. That sounds complicated, but simply put, it means choosing whether you want to pay taxes on the tiny seed today or on the massive harvest later. With a traditional 401k, the government gives you a tax break right now. But when you finally retire, every single dollar you pull out is taxed like ordinary income. If you pull out $60,000 to live on, the IRS takes a massive bite out of it. With a Roth IRA or Roth 401k, the rules flip. You pay the taxes today, you endure the pain up front, but when you hit retirement age, every single dollar you pull out, including all the hundreds of thousands in compound growth, is 100% tax-free. The government cannot touch a dime of it. Look at the sheer size of the national debt. Do you honestly believe tax rates are going to be lower in 20 or 30 years? Shifting your strategy toward Roth accounts builds an impenetrable fortress around your money. The third shift is avoiding the trap of complacency. The biggest mistake you can make at $100,000 is taking your foot off the gas. If you have 100 grand at age 40 and you never contribute another dime, letting it sit in a diversified index fund averaging a 7% return, you might end up with around $540,000 by age 65. That falls dangerously short of that $1 million baseline. But if you simply add $500 a month on top of that existing foundation, you completely shatter the $1 million mark. $500 a month. That is one car payment you choose not to make. Small, consistent additions onto a $100,000 foundation create explosive growth. But as that balance grows, you have to protect it from a terrifying concept called sequence of returns risk. That sounds complicated, but simply put, it means the stock market absolutely crashes on the exact day you decide to quit your job. If you retire with $800,000 and the market drops 30% in your first 2 years, your base is utterly destroyed right as you start pulling money out to buy groceries. This is why, as you get within 5 to 10 years of your retirement date, you must shift a portion of your portfolio into a cash and bond buffer. When the market inevitably throws a tantrum, you spend your safe money instead of selling your stocks at a massive loss. But none of these mechanics matter if you rely on motivation. Motivation is garbage. Motivation fades the exact second you see a targeted ad for a new truck. The secret of managing a six-figure portfolio is incredibly boring. Slowly automate. Do not allocate. Do not wait until the end of the month to see what is left over to invest, because there will never be anything left over. Treat your future exactly like a non-negotiable utility bill. Set it up so your investments leave your paycheck before they ever hit your checking account. You force yourself to live on less, and the machine runs quietly in the background, year after year. Let's bring this back to reality and land a plane. If you have fought your way to $100,000, you have already proven that you have the discipline to be a saver in a culture built entirely on reckless, impulsive consumption. That is a massive victory, and you should be proud of it. But you cannot afford to look at that account balance as a finished product. It is merely your seed capital. It is the launch pad for the rest of your life. The brutal truth is that saving your first $100,000 was about sheer willpower, but building real generational wealth from this point forward is about strategy. It is about understanding that the math has changed. It is about minimizing those quiet, wealth-destroying fees, maximizing your tax efficiency with Roth accounts, and letting compound interest do the heavy lifting while you actually live your life. This matters because financial independence is not about buying luxury yachts or flying private. It is about buying back your time. It is about the absolute peace of mind that comes from knowing you will never be a burden to your family, and that a single medical bill or a corporate layoff will not destroy your life. The middle class is disappearing. The gap between the people who understand this math and the people who ignore it is widening every single day. You do not want to be on the wrong side of that divide. So here is your very next step. Do not wait for inspiration. Today, log into your retirement account, check your expense ratios, and see exactly what Wall Street is charging you. Then, set up an automatic transfer to increase your investments by just $500 a month. Force that money to leave your checking account before you ever see it. Treat your own future like a non-negotiable bill. You built the foundation. You secured the down payment. Now, automate the machine, protect your wealth, and let the momentum carry you all the way to the top.